Om Namo Brahmanandaji Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Katrimyo Om Shishyo Mahabhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopapravita Prajnana Pratyatho Brahmaivasmi Sarvopapravita Vyasam Sukam Gaurapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogendra Mathasya Shishyam Sri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam Chastamanavam Shishyam Tam Todayam Vadhagaram Shivanandam Ajnana Sadgurun Santaramānatosmi Srulim Smatim Kalanam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayam Sutrabhashyamalo Vande Bhagavato Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmehi Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadevaya Shri Dakshinamurte Om Sasanam Bhavatu Sasanau Bhunaktu Saraviriyam Karavavane Tejasvinavali Namastu Ma Vidvishavane Om Shanti 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 Om Bhadram Karneli Vishnuyamadeva Bhadram Pashyema Jagarvyajatra Jairangai Sutuvagum Shastanovi Vishemadevahitam Yadayum Swastina Indro Vrishashavaha Swastina Purusha Vishwavedaha Swastina Saksho Arishtanemi Swastino Brihaspati Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Finished 35?
No.
Not yet.
Therefore, it's made the distinction. And then 7 or 8 lines.
Yeah?
7 or 8 lines in the commentary.
So. Difference between the mind of a deep sleeper or the mind of a yogi who has withdrawn his mind through pranayama and other practices on the one side, and the mind of a disciplined knower of Brahman who has inquired about the nature of the truth and realized the truth. His mind. What is the difference between these two minds is being discussed in this verse. Yesterday we discussed that. We will continue the discussion. As the mind is withdrawn at the time of deep sleep, and not so in the case of the Vedantic discipline. Therefore, there is a difference between the condition of the mind of a sleeper and that of a jnani. The mind of the jnani becomes identical with fearless Brahman, whose all-round illumination is consciousness alone. Now he stated the reason for the distinction between the behavior of the mind of a sleeper and that of a knower of Brahman. The mind in deep sleep, with the desires which are the cause of all experiences during the state of ignorance, goes back to the seed-like condition of potentiality characterized by the undifferentiated feature of darkness, as though. But the mind of a jnani, which is disciplined by discrimination, is not so withdrawn, that is to say, does not go back to the seed-like state of darkness. Therefore, is made the distinction between the behavior of the mind in deep sleep and that of a jnani whose mind is under control. You read the note also, yes. Number 3. When the mind becomes free from all ideas of the perceiver and the perceived, the dual evils caused by ignorance, it verily becomes one with the Supreme and the non-dual Brahman. The object and the subject is the same, is the experience of the knower. Who is the subject? It is consciousness. What is the object? It is consciousness. They put on the appearance of subject and object. Both are the same consciousness without any difference. This is the experience of the knower of truth. Therefore, the mind becomes free from all fear. There is no object to be afraid of for the jnani. There is nothing different from him to be afraid of. For in that state, the perception of duality, which is the cause of fear, is absent. There is nothing different from him. His experience. What about our experience? To us, a world has come here. And we are separate from the world. All this is our imagination. That I am here, a body with a mind, and people are there, the world is there, the universe is there, creation is there. All these are our imaginations. This kind of imagination is not there in the knower of truth. The difference. Brahman is peace and fearlessness. Having realized Brahman, having perceived this great truth, the knower is not afraid of anything here. This is thus further amplified. Jnanam means the essence of knowledge. That is, the consciousness which is the very nature of Atman or the self. Jnanam or Jnan is synonymous with the term self. Brahman is that whose expression is the knowledge thus described. Knowledge is the expression of that Supreme Being. He expresses his knowledge, not only knowledge but also ignorance, and therefore the whole universe. He expresses as the whole universe. Know this. It is not created by him, as we generally think. Creator and the created, generally, in the phenomenal world, they are different. The mason constructs a wall, he creates a wall. Mason is different, wall is different. The carpenter creates a table. Carpenter is different, the table is different. Does God also create like that? No. God's creation is different. God is like the wood and creation is like the furniture. What is the difference between that and this? There is no difference between the creator and the created. Names differ. Wood and furniture, two names, but the thing is the same. Similarly, God and the creation. This the knower sees, perceives, experiences. In every experience, in every cognition, he experiences this truth. In every cognition by the five senses and the mind, he cognizes this truth alone. It is the wood that is appearing as furniture. It is God that is appearing as the world. Is he appearing? Again, the question. Is there any appearance called a dusk with reference to the wood? You may say a particular shape and name you give, but in the case of the world, no such appearance is there. You cannot make even that difference there. That there is an appearance of name and form in the case of the wood and dusk. That also is not there. What is there then? You may say, Zol, self, Brahman. Alright, answer is correct. Who says it? Who says that all this is Brahman?
The so-called appearance.
Huh?
The so-called appearance. The so-called appearance is
says this. Can it be believed? The appearance is saying something. Who can believe it? Yes? Answer these questions.
Consciousness.
Pardon?
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
Consciousness say, does it speak?
Feel. Feel that way.
Feeling. Does it feel? It is the mind that feels. It is the organ of speech that speaks. All this has been transformed into Brahman. We have already said that. He has known that. Therefore I put the question, who is telling this? You cannot stand apart from the other thing, from that whole. That is the whole, the infinite. Can you stand apart from that and say that is the whole? I have not understood the whole. I am seeing the whole. Yes, the answer.
Inseparable.
Yeah.
It's inseparable.
Inseparable.
Again, I am asking you, who says this? Who says it is inseparable? Answer is not there. You can, in reply, you may say, this consciousness is telling all this, as you said, or God is seeing it, or self is seeing it, self seeing the self, self speaking the self. That is no, grammatically the sentence is not right. It makes no sense to a layman. To us it makes a lot of sense, yes. For want of better words, because of the limitation of language, and when you want to express the truth, we use such words. God is realizing God. God sees God. God hears God. What is hearing? Is it different from the subject God and the object God? You have introduced a word, God sees God. What about seeing? Is it different from that? Reflect. You get the answer, no? Which is inexpressible. You can experience it, but you cannot express it. If you want to express it, as you see in the scripture, they have given the best expression. They have put it in the best words possible. Having realized Brahman, the jnani is not afraid of anything. This is thus further explained. Jnanam means the essence of knowledge, that is the consciousness which is the very nature of the Atman or the Self. Brahman is that whose expression is the knowledge thus described. In other words, Brahman is the one mass of sentiency, consciousness, awareness, sentiency, jnanam. The word all round in the text implies that this knowledge of Brahman is without break and all-pervading like the ether. This knowledge never becomes non-knowledge. It is a continuous flow of knowledge. No break here. There is no question of ignorance here. Absence of knowledge here. As I said the other day, even when you say I am ignorant, there is the knowledge that you are ignorant. That is why you are saying that I am ignorant. That knowledge can never be absent. It is a continuous flow of knowledge. It appears as the phenomenal knowledge and ignorance. The ultimate knowledge, which is beyond all words, for which we use the word knowledge, is transcending the phenomenal concepts of knowledge and ignorance. They are concepts. I am ignorant. I know this. I do not know that. Yes? That is the intellect telling. For the intellect to tell that I know this and I do not know this, for both statements, consciousness is required, and that is no break. It is always shining. More brilliant than the sun. The sunshine is known only because the consciousness is there. It must be more brilliant than the sunshine, because it illumines sunshine. A candle flame cannot illumine the sunlight or the sun. But this consciousness illumines it. It must be surely brighter than, more effulgent than billions of suns, midday suns. Yes. There's a small note here. Without break. That is to say, the jnani, the knower of Brahman, may be engaged in any activity but in everything he realizes Brahman alone, consciousness alone. Absence of activity also is included. He may be engaged in activity, any activity. When he is not engaged in activity, when he is idling his time, then also he knows it is the consciousness that shines. Jnani may be engaged in any activity, but in everything he realizes Brahman alone, consciousness alone, God alone, self alone. The experiences of a knower have thus been described in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita 4:24. Brahman is the offering. It is in the sacrificial language of sacrifice. Somebody is performing a sacrifice, offering sacred things in the sacred fire to the accompaniment of Vedic mantras. Of course, all with the purpose of propitiating the Supreme Being. This is the sacrifice, done physically with so many articles. There he says, Brahman is the offering that is put into the fire. It may be ghee, it may be rice, it may be cooked rice, it may be flowers, it may be fruits, it may be very valuable things. They put very costly saris, gold, everything is offered. Yes. Into the fire. They are not thinking they are burning it. Their mind is here. I am offering it to God, the owner of it, the owner of all these things. He thinks, I have purchased it from the market, so costly thing. No, the owner is that. He is the creator of the whole universe, What about that small things which you have purchased from the market? He knows it is that. Brahman is the offering. Brahman is the oblation poured into the fire, which is Brahman. Brahman verily shall be reached by him who always sees Brahman in action. Brahmarpana, you know that. Every day we are chanting in the langar. The first pangat.
Yes.
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagno Brahmanahudam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. All is that. All is that. No exception.
So, Swamiji, this is the answer to your original question. who is
Yes. But
saying all this.
can a layman understand the meaning of this? Brahman is the fire, Brahman is that. What is this Brahman you are telling? He will ask you. I can understand all the other words. You use one particular word, Brahman. What is that? Please tell me. What will you say? No answer to it. So it is. This is intended to the seeker, not to the layman. The scriptures are intended only for seekers, neither to the layman nor to the knower. Knower also doesn't require Gita and Upanishad. The layman also has no use at all. It is for the aspirant. He gives a lot of help. Yes. So without break, the knowledge of the knower is without break. He never becomes ignorant. In the case of the intellectual knowledge, it is like that. Sometimes we know certain things, sometimes we do not. We admit that. I do not know. Such a statement cannot come from consciousness. I do not know. Yes. To say I do not know, consciousness is required, and consciousness alone is shining as I do not know. As also I know. The next verse, 36, says, Ajam anidram aswapnam anamagam arupakam Sagrid vibhadam sarvajnam no upachara kasanchana. Is a very simple verse. This Brahman is birthless. When it came into existence, when it was born, it is birthless. Birth and death, etc., are superpositions on limited objects. This Brahman being infinite cannot have birth or a beginning. When did God, when was he born? When he came into existence? No scripture puts the question. Nobody or a sensible man will put the question. When God was born, when he will die? No question. No such questions arises. But when you argue, for argument's sake, such questions may arise. You can put the question. God is everything. Everything has birth and death. Therefore, God has also birth and death. Is not a good logic? God is everything, isn't it? And everything has got birth and death. Therefore, conclusion is, God also has birth and death. So it is not the meaning of everything is God has to be understood in a peculiar way. It's not in the usual way. Sometimes they say What is self-born? What does it mean? Self-born. Not born out of somebody else, something else. Self-born. Again you suppose there is a beginning there, isn't it? Self-born. Not the infinite being. Brahman is not self-born. Brahma is self-born. He is.
And Vishista?
Huh?
Vishista, the self-born son of Brahma?
Who?
Vishista.
Vasishtha. Vasishtha is the son of Brahma.
Self-born. Oh, my
Son
God.
of Brahma.
Oh, my God.
He has got a father now.
Yeah.
Yes. And father Brahma, well, he has no father, it is a self-born. Self-born may mean born of the self. It is not in that sense. Just appeared. That's all. It is not born. Just an appearance. A ghost appears. The mirage appears and the rope snake appears. In one sense, we may say they are all self-born. It is not born from anything else.
And also you can say they're not there.
It is not there, you are right. It is not there, but it is not a vacuum. Remember this when you say, you must be very careful to say the snake is not there. It's only of the truth. Then the rope snake, you cannot suddenly say snake is not there. The rope is there. Is the snake born out of the rope? No, you cannot say that. Is it self-born when you say that? You saw it, isn't it? You saw it. It is not born out of the rope. It is not self-born. Then how did you see? Such a thing can happen. We call it ignorance or delusion. And here we say that cognition of a rope, a snake in the rope, it is an illusion. That also is there because of consciousness, because of Brahman. It is unbroken. The effulgence of that Supreme Being is unbroken. It is not absent when you see the rope snake. Because of consciousness, you see the false snake there. Consciousness is required to see the real rope and the false snake. That which is present in both is the consciousness. Rope is not present in the snake, snake is not present in the rope, but consciousness is present in both. Even when you are seeing the snake or when you are seeing the rope. This Brahman is birthless, free from sleep and dream. Waking is not included here. Waking is not included. Free from sleep and dream. Because waking is included in the dream. It's another dream. Therefore, it's not included. All the three states. Free from sleep and dream, without name and form, ever effulgent. We are seeking for God. Master says, He is ever shining. Why don't you see it? I am seeing it, I see the world. I don't see God. Here's the point. While you are seeing God, you think it is a word. Who is to be blamed? God. You are seeing only God because He is ever effulgent. But we in our ignorance think as a word of names and forms, and then search for God. We want to see God. Even as in the example, well, what is there, shining there, is the rope. You see a snake. Ever effulgent and omniscient also. There is no ignorance there. There is nothing which is not known to Him, known to that consciousness or God. He is omniscient. He is knowledge itself. It is that God who has created this world. Even in the dualistic sense, if you take it, you will find God has created this world. An omniscient God, an omnipotent God has created this world, and therefore this world should be free from defect, all defects. It must be a perfect creation. A perfect God cannot create an imperfect world. It's a piece of logic. Even accepting that, the dualistic philosophy, you should not have any complaint about this world. It must be a perfection. It's a perfection. But in the Advaitic philosophy, we just make some little difference there, that's all. Not much difference. It is He who is appearing as the world. He does not stand apart from the creation. He and the creation and the created are not three entities. Nothing has to be done in any way with respect to Brahman. We want to know Brahman, which we are, for which we are here, to know the truth. What has to be done? Nothing has to be done. No?
Because it's
Shall we go to sleep? So the literal translation is, Brahman is birthless, free from sleep and dream, without name and form, ever effulgent and omniscient. Think over the meaning of all these words. Nothing has to be done in any way. That's all. The translator has added the words with respect to Brahman. Commentary says, Brahman is both within and without, as well as unborn, as there is no cause for its passing into birth. Again, this is a statement arrived at by the scriptures and masters through logical argument, which every one of us can understand. But the conclusion, when we come to the conclusion, we are frightened. We are not able to grasp it. Accepting that God is the creator of this world, even in the dualistic philosophy. Here also we say Brahman is the cause of the world. If you accept creation of this world by God, I am telling you the argument given by Yoga Vasishtha and in other scriptures also. When you accept that God has created this world, there must be a condition before creation. Is it not logical? It's simple logic. You accept God has created this world, as all scriptures say. We have faith in the scriptures. So, when that is accepted, there must be a condition or time when creation has not started. Yes. Let the mind go there. When there was no creation, God has not started creation. What could have been there at that time? What will be the condition? When do you think? What could have been there? God alone was there. That is the statement of the scripture. Before creation, in the beginning, that is the word they use, in the beginning, God alone was there. That is the statement of the scripture. Then, the scripture starts about the creation. He thought, let there be a creation. Or he said, let there be a world. Another scripture says, no, he did not say anything. He did not think. He willed, that's all. He willed, let there be a creation. And there was creation. They use different kinds of words. The question, our mind, our intellect, inquiring intellect, discriminating intellect, will naturally put the question, why did he think? Why did he will? Why did he say? God said, let there be a world. Why did he say that? What purpose? Was he in need of a world? He is the infinite being. He is self-fulfilled. He cannot be in need of something. Then he cannot be called God. So the question, why he thought, why he willed, why he said, let there be a world? What was the cause for thinking or willing or saying? There was nothing before creation. You have admitted that. God alone was. Cause, effect, all these come only after creation. The cause and effect theory comes only after creation. Space, time also come only after creation. You admit all these things, simple facts. So the question, when he created, why he created, how he created, all questions become meaningless questions. Because these how, why, when, what, all these come only after creation. You cannot posit a cause for creation before creation, when God alone was. Yes. Any defect in this logical argument? Okay. Come on, let us think. Yes. You must think. God alone was. That is the statement. We believe. We have full faith in the scripture. God alone was. No scripture says God and cause were there. No scripture says that. God alone was. Therefore, you have to rule out the existence of cause for his saying, thinking or willing, whatever it is. Without a cause, there cannot be any effect. This is another piece of logic. If there is an effect, there must be a cause. That is our phenomenal rule here. Then what follows? What follows is very difficult to digest. Up to this, you follow. Logic, very good logic. There cannot be a cause before creation. Because there is no cause, there cannot be any effect. Good. What follows is there cannot be a creation here. Which nobody would like to. We don't deny the creation again. We don't deny the existence of the world. Understand it properly. What we deny is an effect called world. A world which is an effect is denied. We accept the existence of the world as God, not as an effect created by a cause. We accept the world as not an effect, but as God Himself. That is called the Brahman. That is the non-dual philosophy which we call it non-dual philosophy. It is not a philosophy. We have arrived at this. It is not by simple logic, a simple argument. Anybody can understand this who has some faith in the scripture. We started with the faith in the scripture that God alone was before creation. And following the argument, logical argument, we came to the conclusion that there cannot be a world which is an effect or something which is created by someone. World is there, but that is non-different from that. No change has happened. Eternal being is God. He is changeless. He is birthless. He cannot give birth to anything. He has no birth. He does not give birth to anything. Yes. And therefore, this world is non-different from Brahman. And therefore we say Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahudam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, Brahmagamat madana. All these is Brahman. Om Sarvam Tasyopavyakhyanam Om Bhavattarishati Sarvam Omkarayeva Yacchanyattrikalahitam Tadapi Omkarayeva Sarvam Hetat Brahma Ayamatma Brahma Soyamatma Chadushpa Jagirathano Malishtajna Saptanga Ekona Vinshati Mukha Stulavat Vishwanara Pradamapada Sapnasthano Mantaprajna Saptanga Ekona Vinshati Mukha Nirvikutta Bhuktarijaso Viyapada Yatra Sutto Nakanjanam Dhamayale Nakanjana Sopnam Dashyati Tatsivrittam Suttathana Eki Bhuta Prajnanaganeva Anandamayo Jnanandavo Chedonga Prajna Viyapada Yesha Sarveshara Yesha Sarvajna Yesha Antaryami Yesha Yogi Sarvasya Prabhavapya Yogi
न वैश्वज्ञं न वेदप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञम् अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यवदेश्यम् एवात्मप्रत्ययसारम् प्रपञ्चोपशमम् शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा सविज्ञेयः सोऽयमात्माध्यक्षरम् ओङ्कारो अतिमात्रम् पादामात्रा मात्राश्च पादा अकारो उकारो इति जागरितस्थानो विश्वानरो अकारो ब्रह्मामात्रा आप्यहरिमत्वाद्वा आप्नोति वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति एवं वेद सप्तमस्थानत्रयस्य उकारो द्वितीयामात्रा उत्कर्षाद्वयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षते वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न यस्यां ब्रह्मवित्कुले भवति एवं वेद सुषुप्तस्थानप्राज्ञो मकारस्तृतीया मात्रा विदेवा विनोति वा इदं सर्वम् अभीतिश्च भवति एवं वेद अमात्रश्चतुर्थव्यवहार्य प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवोऽद्वैत एवम् ओङ्कारात्मैव संविशत्यात्मनात्मानम् एवं वेद ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिश्रुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः दृशेन देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नः साक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
Exist without a consciousness. Come on, argue. Do some arguments again. Then you will further clarification will be there. So we are asked to think. Argue.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Page 18. First paragraph. Yesterday we were discussing that point, very important point. You remember? I forgotten. That Swami is not here. The grief of the mind, the sorrow of the individual is not brought about by outer circumstances. This is a very important lesson we learn from the Upanishad. We do not suffer by incidents that take place outside. Then, what is the cause for suffering? We suffer on account of a maladjustment of our personality with the conditions of life. And the knowledge of this fact is supernatural and supersensual. This is the point which we are discussing today. It is not the incidents or happenings in this world that cause our suffering. It is our maladjustment with those happenings is the cause for suffering. If we can adjust with them, there will be no suffering. You know, things happening in this world are not in our control. They happen. In spite of our not wanting it or wanting it, they happen. It is not in our control. Then, is it not wisdom to adjust with them and not resist? Do not resist. Yes. And this adjustment also should be through wisdom and not out of weakness. We are adjusting with the whole world. Whatever is happening, and we are living our life. That means we are adjusting with them. But unwisely, foolishly, all the time resisting and suffering, we adjust. The Upanishad wants us to know this truth, adjust with them knowingly, wisely, without resistance on any account, because of the knowledge that all this that happens here is the cosmic incidents, not the individual incidents, not individual happenings. Nobody is responsible for what is happening here. This knowledge will help us to avoid suffering in this world. Yes? Any doubt? Did you think about it? Any counter argument to this?
Swamiji, I just think wisdom is same as surrender.
Wisdom is the same as surrender.
I just think.
Huh?
Wisdom is the same as surrender. Is it?
Surrender.
I just think wisdom.
She thinks like that. Is she right?
Surrender to whom? What?
Surrender. I just think.
Surrender to? Surrender to what?
To God's will, whatever happens.
Better talk.
Yes, you say. Surrendering, I just think to wisdom.
Wisdom. There is
Surrender.
surrender. We use the word surrender to God. Surrender to the will of God. The same thing. That is, we call it Bhakti Yoga. This is called Jnana Yoga. Both take us to the same goal. Surrender to the will of God. O Lord, all is thine. I am thine, all is thine. Thy will be done. Thy will is being done here. Yes. Who can resist it? Why should you resist it? If it is God's will, who can prevent it? Will you do anything wrong? Anything unpleasant here? He is the most compassionate Lord. This understanding, as he said, is surrender. We call it Bhakti Yoga. Sharanagati. We say in Sanskrit, Sharanagati to the Lord. Complete surrender must be there.
Unconditional.
Yes, most important thing. Surrender should not be partial surrender. When you surrender everything to God, no further question will arise in your mind. Because you have surrendered, where is the I there? The I has gone, once for all. It has merged with the Lord. The same thing what happens in the jnana yoga also. The ego is erased, ego melts and becomes one with the Supreme Atman or Brahman. Here the ego merges with the Lord, with the will of the Lord. Both mean the same thing. I have surrendered. Merely saying, repeating this statement, I am surrendering, all is thine, thy will be done. I have been repeating this for how many times? I have been surrendering to God, but nothing has happened to me. That kind of surrender is no use. You are not surrendered. You expect something again as a result of your surrender. I is there. I have surrendered. When the surrender is complete, this statement cannot arise. There will be no I to say that I have surrendered. Gurudev's words, adjust, adopt, accommodate. 3 words, simple words, will help us. If only we follow them. Or else there will be words. We can print them in the placards and paste them on boards and the walls, print and distribute copies. That all we are doing. Yes, without any different. But we are not doing it. We are not adjusting, not adapting, not accommodating. We have to do it. Out of wisdom. Out of wisdom, all this must be done as a result of your knowledge of the truth. Yes.
Swamiji, do we eventually find that, is there such a thing as the will of God?
It's an academical question. We may say, there is and there is not. Yes and no is the answer to your question. We use the word will of God, grace of God, grace of the Guru. Yes. But when you think, reflect over it, you will find there is no such thing as grace of God and God are non-different. Will of God and God are non-different. Yes. There is nothing other to God here. That's it. Not even grace. He alone is. What has happened to us cannot be known by us because it has happened to us. And not to somebody else. It is subjective. The subject cannot be known. What is known must be an object of knowledge. The subjective knowledge cannot be known. We cannot know what has happened to others. First we said we cannot know what is happening to us. No, he says we cannot know what has happened to others because we cannot know what has happened to us. We do not know who I am. Without knowing who I am trying to know everything else in this world. Who you are. How is it possible? First, the knowledge of the I must be there. If there is no knowledge of the I, there is no knowledge of the world, of the other things, of you, he, she, it, and so on. Now the knowledge is that I am this body, which is, is not the right knowledge. It is the wrong knowledge. And it is based on this knowledge I am knowing the whole world. Isn't it? I am the body. It is based on this we are trying to know the whole world. All scientific discoveries and astronomical discoveries, all these are based on this simple thing that I am this body. Yes? Can you deny this? And you know the basic knowledge of I is wrong. And what will be the result of the knowledge of other things, which are based on wrong foundation? Reflect over these things. Upanishad points out these things. They are mere pointers. They cannot give you the truth. They can make you think. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, I will give you buddhi yoga, not liberation. He never said, I will give you liberation. I will give you buddhi yoga. Sufficient intellect to make you think rightly. That I can give you, not liberation. Liberation is for you to get. Or is it to be a god? That is another question. This is the crux of the whole matter. The knowledge of the subject, the knowledge of the I. That is the subject of the Upanishad, all Upanishads. And once the knowledge of the I is known, he need not go on collecting information about other things in this world. Everything becomes known simultaneously. Even have the example, if you know a nugget of gold, you can proudly say, I know anything and everything about all the ornaments in this world. Because everything is gold. I know this piece of gold. Similarly, this knowledge of the I includes the knowledge of the whole of creation. Without this knowledge, with the wrong knowledge of the I that I am this body, what follows is all that knowledge that you acquire based on this wrong knowledge is bound to be wrong, bound to be changing. As the world is changing, your knowledge also is changing. So we are proud to say that every science is advancing. Yes. Today's knowledge we say, tomorrow we say it is wrong. This is the new knowledge we have found out. Day after tomorrow the same fate, tomorrow's knowledge also the same fate. Of course it is all progress. Yes. Where is the end? As long as the knowledge is based on this first wrong knowledge that I am this body, I am this mind and intellect, This is bound to be like this. So he says, this is the crux of the whole matter towards which the Upanishad is to take us. The Upanishad, to reiterate, is the science of the self. Studied not for the sake of a division of the intellect or a diversion of intellect, or for satisfaction of the understanding, but for freedom of the spirit and removal of sorrow utterly, root and branch, it is to be removed. It will be removed. Because the knowledge is that there is no sorrow here. Not that there is sorrow and then it is removed. Therefore the masters are so sure that you will succeed. Your sorrow will be surely destroyed. Because they know there is no sorrow. What is the difficulty for them to say that it will be destroyed? We imagine that there is sorrow and then we try all our means to destroy that sorrow. Imagining that there is a ghost there, we try to drive away the ghost. When the ghost is not there, we imagine a ghost. And whatever you do with that imagination in your mind, that there is a ghost and it must be driven out, you are not going to succeed. How to drive away the ghost? Know that it is not there. The Adhyatma Vidya, or the knowledge of the self, about which we hear so much in fields of spiritual living, is not a kind of Vidya, just one of the branches of learning, but the mother of all the branches of learning, including every other learning that can be conceived of in this world of sense, understanding and social living. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which we have started, the study of which we have started, or we are starting, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad particularly attempts to explain the various processes of bondage and liberation. It tells us how we are bound and how we are to get free. And it goes to the very cause, the ultimate cause of the bondage of the soul. Our bondage is not merely physical or social. It is a more deep-rooted condition which has been annoying us through centuries and through our repeated births and deaths. Anything that we do in the outer world does not seem to be an adequate remedy for this sorrow of ours. Because the sorrow has not come from outside. We follow this argument. We have already seen, we have accepted that the sorrow is not caused by anything outside. It is the maladjustment of our personality to the world, to the nature. So, when once you understand that, the remedy to remove the sorrow is not outside. Whatever you do outside in the nature of actions and doings to destroy the sorrow will not succeed. You are not tackling the root, or the root. The root is here inside, in us, the subjective. And you are trying to do something objective, to remove sorrow, by getting wealth, by having some good family, social conditions, social status, name and fame. All these relate to the outside world, with which we try to remove our sorrow. And you know the result. Anything that we do in the outer world does not seem to be an adequate remedy for this sorrow of ours, because the sorrow has not come from outside. So something has to be done here, in us, in our personality, in our mind, in our intellect, in our understanding. We can have a bungalow to prevent us from suffering from rain and sun and wind. We can have daily food to eat as much as we want. There's no difficulty. We can have very happy and friendly social relationships. But we can also die one day, even with all these facilities. And that fear is there in all, the fear of death. Nobody can free us from this fear of death. Only our knowledge can free us. That is a subjective understanding. It is not an objective knowledge. Some information you get from books, not. That won't drive away the fear of death. This is the greatest sorrow of the human being, but that he has apparently everything what this world can give. But there is some secret sorrow of his which can swallow up every other satisfaction. That death can catch hold of a person and no one can save him from there. Save him then. What is this dependence of the individual on a circumstance over which no one has control? And why does death come? Why is that sorrow? Why is there any kind of inadequacy felt in life at all? This is the subject of analysis and study in the Upanishad. For the purpose of bringing to our own self a knowledge which is not a learning or information about things, but an enlightenment about our own self, not body, mind, intellect, ego. An enlightenment about our own self. That is called enlightenment. It is not some information about the self, which nobody can have. No information. That's why they say it is beyond words, beyond thought. But some enlightenment is a figurative word, enlightenment. Not that you are going to have some light there. No. It's a figurative word. Anyway, it is not information. Informative knowledge. It is again to be repeated that this enlightenment is not about any other person or object, but about one's own self. It is an understanding of oneself. Again, an enlightenment of oneself. We first use the word understanding and we modifying it so that we may not misunderstand. It is an enlightenment of oneself. Another word, again figurative, is an illumination of oneself. And when this illumination takes place, it is expected that everything connected with the self also gets illumined automatically. Connected with the self means whole clear creation. Whole of the universe. Is also illumined. The bondage of the self is intrinsically involved in the structure of the individual. We bring sorrow with us even when our birth takes place. And it is often said that we bring our death also together with our birth. The meaning is that all experiences, joys, sorrows, including our last moment of life called a death, all these are a fructification of circumstances with which we are born from the mother's womb. It is all fixed. The time of birth, all that you have to experience in this world, from the time of birth till the time of death, that also is fixed. When to die, how to die, how we are to die, what is the time of death, and in between the two, what are the experiences that we have to undergo. That is also fixed. Only three things are fixed. Other things are the birth, death, and the experiences that we have.
In that itself, the entire thing is covered.
This. We are born under certain conditions, and they are the seeds of what will follow later. So that the entire life of ours may be said to be an unfoldment of that which is present in a seed form at the time of our birth, in the baby. It's all in a seed form. It becomes a manifestation. It grows into a big tree. We do not pass through newer and newer experiences unexpectedly, as it were, but they are all expected things only. What is to happen alone will happen, says the verse.
Panchadash.
Panchadash. What is not to happen will never happen. Is it a big discovery? What is to happen will happen. The Buddha does not know this. Is there any great philosophical importance here? What is to happen will happen. Will alone happen. What is not to happen will never happen in spite of all your efforts. In some sense. Because of this fact that everything is we bring at the time of our birth.
Swamiji, so where does effort come in? Effort.
It comes under this. What effort you have to put is already there.
It is included.
Yes. Otherwise, everybody would have put forth the effort. Everybody does not put forth effort. You don't put forth effort always. Sometimes only you put forth effort. That also comes under what is to happen alone will happen. If you are to put forth effort, then alone you will put forth effort.
And
Yes.
the same thing can be said, Swamiji, about we are creating our own lives, or we are the creator of our lives. It's also
Yeah.
under the same.
Yes, we are created because of the karmas in the past. The past karmas,
Yes.
we are created. The whole thing comes in a seed form. Like a small baby, it is there inside it. The whole
The
tree.
thought of creating a certain thing is already set up for us to think that to create whatever
Yeah.
is created.
Then man is the master of his destiny. Man is the maker of his destiny.
Yes, right.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
But that destiny is also what has been decided previously, so it's not.
Is there any difference between what you say and what she says? No. It's all the same.
Now in this it seems we must leave off lethargy and try to put forth efforts to become whatever we like.
Can you do it? Can you become whatever you like by putting forth effort?
No, unable.
No. Then what is the principle? What is it that prevents you? What is it that controls your effort? Controls your fruit of action?
Predestined.
And the Gita puts it, there's the fifth element there, which is Daivam, that is God. Every experience in life is expected as a corollary, is expected from a theorem. You know that. A theorem is there in mathematics, in geometry, and then once you understand the theorem, master will give you so many corollaries. Paidives, they are called. Based on that theorem, you have to solve those questions. Similarly here, every experience in life is expected as a corollary, is expected from the theorem in mathematics. The theorem is the seed with which we are born. And what is the cause for that seed? That's another question. It follows, it has to naturally follow logically, it follows, and logically it has to follow from the principle enunciated. Likewise, the experiences of life are natural phenomena The experiences of life are natural phenomena. Nobody can tamper with it. Nobody can meddle with it. They are natural phenomena that follow logically from the circumstances under which we are born. All this is on the Raj Yoga of Patanjali also. And these circumstances which seem to be powerful enough to condition our future are again the consequences of certain antecedents, and those antecedents are again dependent on some other previous antecedents and so on. That becomes material. There is thus a vicious circle. As it were, it is not there. That is why it is as it were. There is thus a vicious circle, as it were, in which we are caught up, so that we cannot know which is the cause and which is the effect of any event or experience. This vicious circle of suffering is called samsara, the transmigratory life here on this earth. The sorrow of the soul. And it cannot free itself from this sorrow by merely undergoing experience through births and deaths. Because the experiences in life, the sorrows and the joys, whatever they may be, are powers which come out automatically from the nature of individual existence. And unless this character of existence as the individual is studied, is understood properly, its sorrow cannot be diagnosed or eradicated. The knowledge that is of the Upanishad is thus inseparable from the being of the self. That which is the basis of body, the sense organs, mind, pranas, intellect, ego, etc. The foundation, the substratum, or that on which all these appeared, because of which all these function. And we function as a human being, based on what? On that, which we call the being or the self. The knowledge that is of the Upanishad is thus inseparable from the being of the self. This knowledge is inseparable from the being. So knowledge is being, and being is knowledge. This knowledge. This is the characteristic difference of the Upanishadic wisdom or Upanishadic knowledge, which is also called Adhyatma Vidya, the science of the self, the knowledge of the self. It is not a knowledge that one acquires about a thing, knowledge of something, knowledge about the self. No. It is the knowledge itself that you are going to get, not about something. Knowledge here is synonymous with the term self. It is not a knowledge that one acquires about a thing, but it is knowledge which is inseparable from the very being of him who owns this knowledge. It is knowledge of a reality, satta samanya, as it is sometimes called, general existence or absolute existence, existence absolute. We know the word existence, but we can never know the meaning of existence absolute, because that is yourself, your own self. You cannot know it. You exist, existence. It is not the existence of something. Existence absolute. The existence of a book. Remove the book, then what remains? Existence. Can the mind conceive of it? You can conceive the existence of a book, the non-existence of a book. But can you conceive the existence without any object? Similarly, knowledge without an object. Knowledge about something, knowledge of something you can understand. Here, the existence is the same as knowledge in their absolute sense. They are not objective. They are not even subjective. It is a knowledge of being. It is a consciousness of existence which is going to be the freedom of spirit. Consciousness, bliss. We stop here.
स्थिते अद्वितीयभावे अस्मिन् कथं पूजा विधीयते पूर्णस्यावामनं कुत्र सर्वाकारस्य शासनं स्वच्छस्य पाद्यमर्घ्यं च शुद्धस्यागमनं कुतः निर्मलस्य कुतः स्नानं वस्त्रं विश्वोदरस्य च अगोत्रस्य तवर्णस्य कुतस्तस्योपवेतकम् निर्लेपस्य कुतो गन्धपुष्पं निर्वासनस्य च निर्विशेषस्य का भूषा कोऽलङ्कारो निराकृते निरञ्जनस्य किं धूपैर्दीपैर्वा सर्वसाक्षिणः निजानन्दैकतृप्तस्य नैवेद्यं किं भवेदिह विश्वानन्दविदुस्तस्य किं ताम्बूलं प्रकल्प्यते स्वयं प्रकाशचिद्रूपो योऽसावर्कादिभासक प्रदक्षिणायनन्तस्य यद्वैस्य कुतो नति वेदवाक्येन वेद्यस्य कुतस्तोत्रं विधीयते स्वयं प्रकाशमानस्य कुतो नीराजनं विभो अन्तर्बहिश्च पूर्णस्य कथम् उद्वासनं भवेत् एवमेव परा पूजा सर्वावस्थासु सर्वदा एकबुद्ध्या तु देवेशे विधेया ब्रह्मवित्तमे आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामते सहचरा प्राणा शरीरं गृहं पूजा ते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः सञ्चारपदयो प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यद्यत्कर्म करोमि तत्तदखिलं शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरणकृतं वा कायं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनं वा मानसं वा पराधं विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतत् क्षमस्व